of the 612 ISS for Social Studies, and I'm super excited to be here to talk to you with this mini lesson about contextualization. So similar to what we did first quarter, I am going to be walking through this lesson with you as a teacher with students, and then at the end, we'll have a teacher-to-teacher moment, but I might also jump in as a teacher throughout the lesson just to make sure we get that out there. This lesson is interesting. The first part is a mini lesson on contextualization that you could use in any class, any grade. It's designed for 6-8, but it really works 6-12. Then from there, we're going to go into a more specific lesson on the Great Depression. However, because we are teaching content through skills, the actual strategy that I'll be using, you can apply to any grade level. So super excited about this. And so we're going to move now from me talking to you as a teacher to moving into our mini lesson. Today, we're going to learn about contextualization. Contextualization is a practice used by students of history to better understand the past. Our question, what is contextualization and why does it matter? I like to think of historic context as setting the stage. What was it like to live in a different time period? To do a good job of setting the stage or establishing historic context, a student of history considers the political, social, cultural, geographic, historical, and economic setting of a particular idea or event. Without understanding historical context, a person might be tempted to interpret past events based on current conditions. By examining the historical context, historians and students of history can get a deeper understanding of the motivations and actions of the people living in that time period. It's a lot, right? There's even more. So the 6 considerations that I just mentioned that we'll be thinking about regarding historical context are social, cultural, historical, economic, geographic, and political. How we're going to take a look at those? Because you are going to be looking at your life through these historical perspectives. So if a student of history was studying your life 50 years from now, what is the historical context? For each of the categories, put an example from the time you live in and your personal life. So for example, you have the social, the way people live and what they believed. We have historical, what was happening in the world? What's going on right now? Because this is your time. How about another one? What's happening with politics? What's influencing the political place that we live in right now? So we're going to take about 5 minutes for you to think of examples from your life and what's happening in the world today, that if a person 50 years from now was looking at this, they could get some historical context or the setting from which you live. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? All right, so let's take 5 minutes to establish your historical context. Remember, your audience, students of history, 50 years from now. What would that be? 2073. Okay, so the students are going to be taking a few minutes to complete their work. I didn't go into a deep explanation of each of the concepts, as you noticed. They were posted. Now they're going to read them themselves, and then they'll dig in. I figure as I'm walking around the room, they're going to be asking me questions about it. So that's how I'm going to take kind of a deeper dive into answering independent questions. You, of course, could go over each of them with the kids if that's more your style. All right, so the 5 minutes are up. What's next? Now we are going to pair and share. So what you're going to do, you're going to find a partner. You're going to compare your historical context. You are going to notice what was similar and what was different. And then you're going to talk about if they are different, why might they be different? Okay. Now, teachers, here's one thing that I particularly like. I still like to use the appointment clock. I know some people don't use that anymore, but I really like it because it never makes finding a partner awkward and kids don't feel left out. So if you use an appointment clock, great. If you don't, they can find a partner, but we want them to get out of their seats and on their feet and find someone that they don't typically work with. You could have them do hand up, stand up, pair up as well, so they're working with different people. Or if you're more comfortable with them staying in their seats, of course, they can always turn and talk to their partner, but sometimes it's just really nice to get them up and moving. So they're going to pair and share. We're going to give them, 5 minutes, walk around the room and kind of see how that goes. And then we're going to ask some questions. So they're still standing up with their partners, and we're going to keep them there as we move into the next part. All right, so let's talk. What did you find that was similar? Oh, great. You like the same music. Perfect. Oh, that you play the same sports. Very interesting. Oh, interesting. What did you find that was different? Oh, you're responding. All right, so here's what I'd like you to think about. It's the same time period. You guys are all the same age. You're all 13 years old or 14 years old. Maybe some of you are 12, but about the same age. And this is your life during this time in history. So why might what you have on your document, your different category, be different from your partner's? Right. Perhaps you came from a different geographic location. You moved from somewhere else. Perhaps you have a different religious background. Perhaps your families do different jobs, um, or perhaps you know something different about the politics of the time, or perhaps the history you pulled out, maybe somebody pulled out the Ukrainian war and somebody else might have pulled out what's happening in Israel right now. So that could be different, even though it is all happening at the same time. So that gives us a little bit different perspective of the same time period. This makes it challenging for historians. Not only are we looking to establish the context from all of those different pieces that you guys just did, but we also have to look at it from different perspectives, different views on the same time period in history. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take what you just did with your own lives and we're going to apply that to the Great Depression. So we'll be using the historical thinking skill of contextualization as a way to set the stage for you to gain a better understanding of the period of United States history from 1929 to 1939, known as the Great Depression. And write that down, students, because that's important when you're establishing this historical context. You want to know the time frame that we're talking about, and once again, and the location. So this is the Great Depression in the United States, and the time period is 1929 to 1939. That doesn't mean it's not happening around the world, but we are going to be focusing on the United States during that time period. So now that you have a general understanding of the importance of historical context and understand that just because you are in the same time period doesn't mean your lens is the same. That could be based on the group you're in or your personal likes or dislikes or where you are in the world. We're going to start thinking about the Great Depression. The question that we are going to consider as we start our investigation of the Great Depression is, what was life like during the Great Depression? That's kind of our focus question. Eventually, we will add different perspectives. For example, what was life like for women during the Great Depression? But to start it off, we're going to start with our different lenses that we look at when we're doing historical context or contextualization. And we're going to do that by using a question storm. So a question storm is like a brainstorm. Who can tell me, what is a brainstorm? Exactly. You generate the most ideas you possibly can in a short period of time. We're going to do the same thing, only we're doing it with questions. All right. So here's what's going to happen. You are going to be in a partner with a pair or a group, and you're going to be assigned a category for the lens you're going to look at. So you might be assigned economics, politics, culture, social, historic, one of the six. Then, with your pair or your team, you're going to generate at least 10 questions you could ask in your category to help establish the historical context for the Great Depression. Here's one example for you. Under the category of economics, we might ask, what jobs were available during the Great Depression? Has to do with economics. We got some jobs going on. You have the description of what those are, so you can use those to reflect. And then remember, when you're asking questions, really great question starters are who, what, when, where, why, and how. So think about those as you are generating your questions. So any questions about a question storm? Awesome. Okay, so here's how we're going to do our question storm. First, you're going to select one member from your team to get the markers in the chart paper. Then as soon as you get that back, I will assign you which one of these you're going to be doing. So if you're doing social, at the top of your poster paper, you're going to write the word social, and then you're also going to write the way people lived and what they believed at the top, okay? So once again, whatever you're assigned, you're going to put the title, which is social or cultural or historical or economic or geographic or political, and then it's a little statement right after on the top of your paper. Okay, then you are, as a team, you're going to generate at least 10 questions that could be used to research the Great Depression for that particular lens, okay? So once again, a minimum of 10 questions that you could use to help you learn more about this particular piece to establish the historical context of the Great Depression. Remember, our question starters, really good ones, are who, what, when, where, why, and how. You're going to have 10 minutes. Any questions? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to set the timer. You have 10 minutes. Let's do this. Great. Okay, so the students walking around the room as the students are trying to generate questions. And honestly, it starts out a little bit hard, but it will get easier as they go. And then if that 10 was the thing, they may not get to 10, but they might get more than 10. But 10 is a good number for a 10-minute question storm. Okay, so there's question storming, question storming, question storming. All right, 10 minutes up. All right, great job. So you're now going to participate in a silent gallery walk. During this walk, you're going to select the 3 questions for each category that you think would be the best question to research to learn more about the context of the Great Depression. So here's how this is going to work. As a team, you're going to post your poster around the room. Okay, so you're going to find a spot where you're going to post your poster. When you go to post your poster, don't move yet. Bring a marker with you, and everyone needs their own marker, okay? So let's go ahead and have everyone hang up their posters, bring your marker with you, and spread them out around the room. Awesome. Now what I need you to do, this is where it gets a little confusing. I need everyone to rotate to the left. So as a team, you're going to rotate to the left and go to the next poster, okay? Yeah, your other left. Great. Okay. So they're moving on to the next poster. Perfect. Okay. So now everyone's by somebody else's poster. Great. So what you're going to do next, silently, you're going to read all of the questions that were generated for that particular category. And then independently, you're going to select the top 3, the 3 questions that you think would be the best to help you do research on that particular category. Now, the reason why this is a silent gallery walk is it's your own opinion. So it's not the group think, but each of you gets your own vote on the top 3 questions that you think would be the best to help research the Great Depression to establish historical context. Okay, so how many do you get to vote for? Right, 3. Okay, so, and I will tell you when to move. So you're going to have about a minute or 2 minutes at each poster to read through them and then mark your next 3. And then I will tell you to move, and you're just going to keep rotating to the left. And in the end, you're going to end up back at your own poster. Okay. Give me a thumb up if you're good, a thumb sideways if you are unsure, and a thumb down if you'd like me to repeat those instructions. Awesome. It looks like we're all thumbs up. Okay, great. So now we're going to go ahead and you're going to have 2 minutes at the poster. Okay, so teachers are going around the room. They're writing on their posters. They're marking their marks silently. And you're walking around watching them as they're working and looking at what they're doing. And try to be silent too, because it makes a silent gallery walk really great if everyone's silent. So just kind of walk around. You can nod at people, whatever. Okay, so we're done with the silent gallery walk. So after the gallery walk, what is next? Well, we will be using the top 5 questions from each category to explore the Great Depression. Next class period, you're going to get a perspective for your inquiry. So what was life like for possibly women, white men, minorities, children, etc., like during the Great Depression? Then you will have a team to work up, a team of 2 or 3 to conduct your research on that perspective. Finally, we're going to bring it all together with a circle of voices to take a really deep dive into what it was like in that time period. So we're really contextualizing the Great Depression, and we should have that from multiple perspectives to get a better understanding about life in the United States from 1929 to 1939 during the time period known as the Great Depression. All right, any questions? Awesome, that's what's happening next. You guys did an outstanding job on our silent gallery walk today. So before class ends, we've got about 5 minutes. Here's your exit slip for today. What I'd like for you to write on this exit slip is using the sentence stem, historic context is, and it matters because. All right, so let's finish that up. And you got a few more minutes before the bell rings. Thank you so much. Great. Start writing. All right, and that, teachers, brings us to the end of our lesson. So we have the mini lesson at the beginning, which goes with any content, anything you're teaching to get that historical context, because if this is the story of their lives, that one can be applied anywhere. Then we move that into the Great Depression specifically, but once again, you can pick anything to be that focus point about what was life like during World War I, what was life like during the Ottoman Empire, that it will apply easily to any time period in history that you're studying, to get students to think about that context in history and contextualization. So just a couple of things. The question storm is a great strategy to engage students in historical inquiry, and it aligns with what we did this morning as far as questioning and using Costa's level of questions. So if you've used that with your kids, this is another great place to bring that back. Otherwise, the Y's, the 5 W's and the H are always a good starter to get questions that aren't just answered by yes or no. And then contextualization is challenging. So I think the exit slip will help clarify if they really got the teaching point that I was trying to get, and if they really understand the practice of contextualization. So then I'm going to use their exit slip to determine what my next steps are, how we are, what do I need to repeat the next day. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this mini lesson and can apply it in your classroom. And let me know if you have any feedback or any great ideas. Thank you so much.